All right. Hello, hello. Welcome. Okay, now we're live. Never know quite when it goes live. But hello, everybody. Welcome. Let's get a cargo run going here, and let's show off kind of where we're at for the moment. We kind of have this game, right? And the corgis still got gigantic compared to, I guess, the game level. But we can jump. We can jump infinitely, which is actually a bug. We can run back and forth. You can see if we get stuck on the side of a platform, the corgi just kind of sits there if you hold the arrow key. If I let go of the arrow key, it drops. But there's a respawn floor. So like if you try to make that platform and you miss, you respawn. Yeah, so we've basically got physics going. We've got some jumping going. We've got some sprite animation control and direction control based on which direction you're moving and how fast you're going. You can see that when you stop moving, it stops. We don't have an idle animation. So the corgi doesn't do anything when you stop. Also, I'd like to have a jump like frame, but haven't implemented that either. Hey, Jacob, how's it going? So yeah, that's where we're at. I think that we're gonna do level design today. So instead of having like these little white lines, which are colliders and sprites overlaid on top of each other, and instead of I guess like the bottom one is still gonna be the respawn floor. But basically what I want to do is I have, let's see if I can open this. Assets, textures, tiles. So I have this set of like tiles to use for like platforming. So like platforms and floors and pipes and all this other kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. Pulled this off itch.io. Was uploaded like 4 days ago or something like that. So we're going to try to put this into a tile map in Bevy or a texture atlas and see if we can get it to actually work. And then we'll try to use these numbers for like the number of I don't know, like lives that you've used or whatever. Yeah, so that's the goal for today. We have two options for how to do that. Well, we have three options really, but I'm going to choose one of these plugins to use basically. There's an additional set of plugins that I'm not going to mention because the license is super vague and it's not like one of those non-standard kind of licenses that like if you use it, you have no idea what's going to happen. So not going to use that. There's one called Bevy Tile Map and there's one called Bevy ECS Tile Map. In the future, there's this thing called LDTK, which is like this amazing, like absolutely amazing 2D map editor kind of thing, where you can just do this like click and drag thing, and like build levels like that, that I would love to use, but is also like exports a super complicated like JSON structure, and having never used it before, I won't be able to use it for this game jam. Super Mario vibes, nice. Yeah, so I'm thinking about like Super Mario / Super Meat Boy kind of vibes here. I guess like generic platformer, right? Started support extra types. So I'm trying to figure out what the difference between these two plugins is. It's meant to be this one's meant to be a framework. I don't really know what that means. But we have a texture atlas already for the party corgi sprite. So if this just uses texture atlases, that will be pretty great. This is going to give us a 2D location as a point to create a single tile. We're going to have to create a lot of tiles, but this gives me some kind of like bit of hope that we can maybe, I don't know, easily create a bunch of tiles. Like I can put this tile into an abstraction, and kind of just like dereference it into a bunch of them. So it seems fine. There's a tile map builder. We only have 2D tile maps. We don't need 3D. Dimensions of the tile map, super important. Dimensions of a chunk or like a tile, super important. Z render layers, very interesting because then we can put like trees behind the player, I think. Chunk creation, spawning of tiles based on view. So I don't know if that means like it renders stuff as it comes into screen. But I guess we'll find out. Auto tile picks the right tile based on the neighbors of the tile. Tile import tiles from a file from multiple formats. So can we not import? I guess we have to create our own tile map. And then we can pass in our texture atlas to this library. So it's basically a lot of manual control in that one, which is pretty good. That's fine. That's kind of what I was expecting to deal with. This is a tile per entity, chunked approach. They both mention chunked approaches. I assume that means like when the camera moves, it renders like a chunk of the level. I have no idea if that's actually what that means. Layers and sparse tile maps. So like, I guess if the tile map has missing pieces or something. Isometric and hexagonal tile maps. I don't think we have either of those. Tiled file exports still doesn't seem. Built-in animation support. So that's interesting because some of the enemies could be animated, I think. This also has a bunch of examples, which are really cool. And some rotations. Maybe we'll go with this one just because... Oh, it also has some LDTK features. So maybe I'll go with this one. Anti-diagonal flipping is not implemented for non-square maps. Okay, we don't have a non-square map, so that's fine. And this is MIT licensed, so we should be good. Update damage. Why use this instead of X? Okay, so super important, right? Because each tile is an entity of its own. Editing tiles is super easy and convenient. This allows you to tag entities for updating and make stuff like animation easier. So this is more geared towards being able to, I guess, support enemies or like support interactions with tiles, which is kind of cool. Mining simulation where damage is applied to tiles. That's kind of cool. I like that. Tile damage, texture index equals damage. Yeah, okay, so you can swap out tiles dynamically, which is kind of cool. I think we're going to go with this one. This one seems a little bit more full-featured. This one is really simple and would allow us to create kind of a level. And I can see how that would work. So if we end up having trouble with the kind of more complicated one, we'll fall back to the simpler one. But I think we're going to go with Bevy ECS tile map today. Procedurally generate using AI can't be that hard. Everyone does it now. Yeah, I don't know. It can't be that hard, right? That would be really cool. I think that I know you were joking, but I also think that like while that would be really cool, I don't think I'm capable of doing that for this game jam in a way that would allow the level to be playable. Like one of the problems with generative levels, right, is that if you just arbitrarily generate levels, some of them aren't solvable. So I think I'm just going to build out a single thing. Transform from XYZ 1042 by 1024. Okay, so this is actually something that we need to do as well. So we need to move the bottom of the level down. So I guess we start with that, right? Well, first of all, we'll see if this plugin compiles in at all. And then maybe I'll move the level down so it's down at the bottom-ish of our window. And I'll just kind of like, I don't know, deal with the fact that it could potentially be not perfect. Okay, so it compiles into the program. We're not really using it yet, so we don't really know that yet, but that's fine. Where do they add the plugin? Main, insert resource, log diagnostics, frame time diagnostics, tile map plugin. That's what we want. Camera movement system. Where's helpers coming from? Is that coming from this library? Oh, it's coming from their own stuff. So that's interesting. So we'll look at that in a second. But the first thing we need to get in here is the tile map. They have a prelude, so we'll go with that. Did I not commit what I did last time? Let me commit the other code so that we have a... I don't know. I'm just going to name it commit. I forget what's in it. Push that up. In case you feel like whatever we did last time. Okay, so let me pull in the prelude. Let me go into our app builder and we'll .add plugin. It's probably just a plugin, right? It's not plugins. Yeah, it's tile map plugin. So we have it now. Let's not get pushed. Let's cargo run. Texture, set texture filters to nearest. I don't know what that does. We'll figure it out. We do have to bring in the texture map at some point. GPU animated. Okay, I don't know what that does. Set tile, position tile. I think this is just generating like a ton of random tiles. Maybe there's a maybe we shouldn't start with animation and maybe we should start with just like a basic example. Something that loads in the texture atlas and then uses it. Oh, you know what hexagonal is? Hexagonal is probably that like 2.5D vibe. Like the old Zeldas or something. Accessing tiles from the map object using tile map coordinates. That's kind of cool. We'll check that out later. Stress test, game of life, hex column, hex row, ISO diamond, layers. Layers is something we're going to want to know. LDTK, I will look at like later. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. This is the simplest example. So we're going to look at this, and this is where we're going to start. Asset server load tiles.png. That's basically what we're going to do here. We have to create the material. That makes sense. So we're going to query for the asset server. The asset server is basically a database of resources. We're going to query for immutable access to color materials inside of the assets database so that we can add the texture, which is the PNG, to the materials. I assume that the plugin does something around like picking the tiles in the grid and using them. This map needs to be created. I don't know what these arguments are, so we'll figure that out. It looks like They're just spawning an arbitrary ID, so an arbitrary entity into the system that isn't associated with anything. And then building a layer. I guess this is the size of the level. Builds layer. Once this is called, you can no longer edit the layer until a hard sync in Bevy. Okay, so this that makes sense because we're passing in commands, and commands only sync at the end of each stage. So if you do like command.spawn or command insert something or command whatever, those commands only commit in between stages. So that's what they mean by waiting for a hard sync. Basically, after all systems have run, then we get another chance to do something. Hey, Alan, how's it going? Required to keep track of layers for a map internally. Required to use map query to retrieve layers and tiles. So here's the inserting the entity into the actual game. So commands, entity, map entity, that's the ID we created. We're inserting the map as a component. We're inserting the transform as a component. And we're inserting global transform. So most of the time when we insert like sprites or something, they insert transform and global transform by default for us as part of the bundle. But we're apparently doing that ourselves here. So why don't I just grab this whole thing and then we can kind of debug the problems that I'm assuming will happen from me just copying and pasting a bunch of code. This is not going to be tiles.png. This is going to be, what's our other thing? There's a .png textures. I think textures is probably the wrong word for this. Is it tiles.png that's in our textures? ls assets, textures. It is tiles.png. Okay, I just happened to name it. Restart the Rust Analyzer server. It's downloading a new one. Okay, cool. So one of the problems with the new Rust Analyzer is I think that it uses a bunch of extra memory or something. I was reading something about that on Twitter. But I don't have a way to stop updates from coming in. So we're just going to use a bunch of memory. It looks like the example here is a little bit out of date with the library. When was the last time this example was updated? In June. When was the last time the library was updated? Yesterday? Okay, well, I guess we're going to go find out what this does. Let's go to crates.io. We'll do Bevy ECS tile map. Oh, when was the last release? 3 months ago? How far do I have to scroll down to get the docs link? Okay, and then we're going to look for layer builder. Layer builder is a struct with some settings. Some fields omitted. Interesting. Useful for creating and modifying a layer in the same system. New takes commands, settings, map ID, layer ID, it says. So why does it, did I give it 5? Commands, settings, map ID, layer ID. Okay, so we'll get rid of none. So 0 U16 is the thing that we were seeing earlier, and that's just, I guess, an ID of the map or the layer. I guess the map and the layer in this scenario. It's interesting that those are just like integers, I guess. But that gives us a self and an entity, so it gives us the layer builder and the entity we already have from the map entity, so we're good. And then this should fail horribly. So that'll be exciting. Let's call this build layer, or like level, I guess. And we'll add it as a startup system. And we'll run it. And I am expecting this to fail pretty hard right now. I basically copied and pasted a bunch of code. So I'm expecting the corgi to be gigantic compared to the rest of the level. Ooh, we didn't even get there. There can only be ever one camera. Okay. So let's go find out if we are adding an extra camera here. Camera transforms. Orthographic camera bundle. That's been set up. I think we only have one. The only thing we changed is we added the... Oh, there we go. This is spawning an orthographic camera bundle. Do we need access to it? No, it doesn't look like it. So I think we can just... we'll get rid of setup. We'll get rid of our setup and we'll call build level the only thing that we're going to have. And then I'll reorganize it later. This vector 2, for some reason, Rust Analyzer really doesn't like that. So that's why we fail early and do expecs on things when we're working with Bevy, because if you add 2 cameras accidentally and don't realize it. Okay, so that is what, like a square of misadjusted tiles. All right, where are we? Tiles.png. Where's the size? So layer settings. Let's go check layer settings. We're gonna have to make the corgi much smaller. I don't know if you saw it, but it's gigantic compared to the level. I don't know what that'll do to the corgi sprite, because the corgi sprite I think is like 512 by 512 or something like that. Whereas most of these tiles are like 18 pixels. Map size, chunk size, tile size. Tile size, I don't know offhand, actually. Let's try to get the thing back up here. So assets, textures, tiles. Let's open the directory so that we can check out the size of this. It looks like there is some spacing here, so I took the one with padding or something like that. 398 by 178. 398. And how many items are on it? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 19.9, that seems weird. There's only space on the sides, so 20 plus like a pixel in each direction or something like that. So what, 19 in the middles? We'll call it 18 and we'll do what, 380? The other thing we could do is go grab the other version of it. So 380 over 20 gives us 19. So if we call these 19, there's no padding available as an option as far as I can tell. Tile spacing. Maybe tile spacing is it? One, two, three, four arguments, layer settings. Why are we only getting 4 arguments here? Layer settings new. Where's new? Map chunk tile texture. All right, let's just do the other one. Let's go find the other, let's see, open, what is it? It's probably in downloads right now. It's like the Kenny Pixel Platformer Pack. So we'll call out to the Mac OS version of Open to get us into that directory. There's a bunch of background stuff here too. So like we could do backgrounds later. Tile map, tiles packed. I think tiles packed is probably the one that we want. Because that will mean that there's no space between them. So let's do this. Let's pull this into assets, textures. Let's just do tiles packed, and then we will rename our thing here so that we're clear about which one we're using. And then let's run that and see if it does anything useful. We do definitely need to adjust the level. Well, that looks a little bit closer, right? Those are all the same tile. And I think they're overlapped on each other right now. Like, see how they're a little cut off there? Or like, what's the size of the packed one? Size of the packed one is 360. So these are going to be 18 wide, not 19. And I'm just kind of assuming that they're the same in both directions. I don't know that they're the same in both directions. We need to do that math too. 162, how many things are vertical? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. That didn't quite do it for us. So 162 over 9 is 18. So it is 18 by 18, which means that this is one of the other options is wrong. Map size, chunk size. It didn't explain to us what the chunk size was. 360 by 162. So 360 by 162 would be the appropriate texture map or texture atlas size, or tiles PNG size. Interesting that that can't be like inferred. Okay, so now we have tiles, things that look like we can actually run on them. That's really cool. It looks like they're appropriate as well, like all in the right spot or whatever. So do we scale everything down, or do we... I guess we scale everything down, right? So the corgi needs to be smaller. Let's open tiles. I think tiles and tiles packed are going to be the same, right? Yeah. So tiles and tiles packed are going to be the same. So I'll just leave this up here as a reference so that maybe we can pick out the right ones. The corgi, where's the corgi? Corgi sprites, vec2. There's a scale thing here. Let's make the scale like, I don't know, 0.03, like 3%. What it's going to make the corgi really small, right? We're going to have to adjust all of the gravity and collision detection to make it this small. But maybe that does look a little bit better in terms of like, how many tiles can we jump? 3? 3 tiles seems like a decent jump. The collision you can see is like way off. So we do need to change that. Let's lower the camera. Setup, level. Did I not call it level? What did I call it? I called it build level. Why did I call it build level? Why do I use names for things that are different than the names for everything else that I'm using? Orthographic camera bundle. There was an example of lowering the camera in one of these, right? I think it was one of the early ones that we looked at. Yeah. So the orthographic camera bundle, new 2D. We'll merge that orthographic camera bundle. And then this is just going to be like an update struct syntax and the transform. This doesn't seem right, although transform -128, -128. Let's just see what that does. I think we are in very much the wrong area now. That camera location is completely wrong. Is this used anywhere else? No. So what do we have? X, Y, Z. I think we can just set this to 0, 0. The X can also be, I don't know, let's set it to like negative, or like, let's set it to 0, 0. That'll probably put us right on the corner. The Y, let's make like, let's just make it 100. Let's just get everything into view and then we can start adjusting. Okay, so we're in view and we've lowered things. One thing that we're gonna have to do is like set up the collision to match the like level. It's interesting that this is all centered on 0, 0. I do think I want to zoom in a bit. So what are we at here? If we do 10, do you think 10 zooms the camera in or pulls the camera out? It does neither of those things, does it? So Z index doesn't affect the camera at all. Oh well. So that's interesting. This is, where's the example that we used? So that's the LTTK one. The basic one is map. Let's open this. $720, huh? Let's go look at the camera movement system they have implemented here, just in case it does something. We've locked our camera to our character, so I don't think we need any of this actually. Transform.scale. Maybe we need to modify the camera scale. Let's do Bevy's API docs if we can find them. docs.rs/Bevy. We don't need the style struct currently. We need the camera. The camera projection matrix. Camera transform windows, world position. Scale. Can we set the scale here? Like, does that just, where's our, is this the right one? No, that's not even the right VS Code instance. There we go. From XYZ. So if we do let camera transform equal transform like this, and we'll call this a transform, and we'll spread this in, and we will say what scale is equal to something. You need to go to the docs and go look at the transform. Oh, those are the transform docs. Never mind. Those were the transform docs. Is a vec3 from XYZ. Identity from scale. So we just need to vec3. So vec3 should be what? XYZ? vec3 new. And let's do what? 0.0, 0.0, and then like 10. And see if the camera transform scale works. Camera transform. Corgo run. I should have aliased cargo to Corgo. That would have been fun. Hey, Melix. Good to see you again. How you doing? Okay, let's keep this at 0 then. Let's see what 0, 0, 0 does for our scale. I've never set the scale transform on a camera before, so we're about to find out what that does. We probably need what, like 1 maybe here? I'm gonna start looking at the local X, local Y. So setting the scale on the camera has really messed everything up. I don't know how it interprets the scale values. So multiplying by 0 might be like changing everything to not be shown at all. That would be awkward. Okay, so 1 works. Let's make this like 2 and 2, maybe. Maybe that'll give us like a 2x sized version of it. Nope, that moves us away from it. So we need to go to 0.5. Scale works in the opposite direction that I thought it would. Okay, so that brings it to the right, or not the right size necessarily, but a size that is workable. Let's not put this up at 100. I think the Z index on the camera isn't really something we need anyway. I wonder if there's a way to automate the placement of these collisions or the collision things on each of these. I think I'll keep them white for now. Okay, so let's see. This is probably going to be like okay. I think we need to start the corgi lower. We can make the corgi a little bigger, I think. It's just under a tile, right? So we're 0.03 right now. Let's make it 0.05. And then why are we in just like a grid, right? This puts it at negative 128, negative 128. I assume that the size of the grid is 256. So it's just centering it, but why is it 256? Probably because of these two settings up here. So if we leave it like this, one thing that's interesting to me is that there's only one block here, right? So which one of these is the map size? Map, new, color material, material handle, commands, layer entity, transform. Let's try to figure out which of the layer settings is the map size. The first one. So it's 2 by 2. That's what it was, right? I need to minimize this project because I keep coming back to this and thinking it's the one that we're working on right now. Yeah, so the map size is 2 by 2. So if we make that like 2 by or like 4 by 2, it should get longer, right? Yes, that makes sense if you think of like miniatures. This makes me think of background repeat, and the 4 values are the 4 corners. 4 values are the 4 corners. Index out of bounds. The length is 512, but the index is 512. Okay, so we can't just arbitrarily like make it bigger. Why not? Porque. Chunk size, tile size, texture size. This is a map size. Size of the tile map in chunks. Okay, so that's the size of the tile map, not the size of the map on the screen. Size and tiles of each chunk. So the tile map is two chunks by 2 chunks. And it has 8 tiles per chunk. So if we go back and we look at this, it should be what, 8 on the top, 8 on the bottom kind of thing. Because that splits it into what, like 4 quadrants of 4 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one right here is the halfway point. So we've got 8 and 8. So that does look right. Size and pixels of each tile. So we could have just made the tiles bigger, I guess. Size and pixels of the tile map texture. I think we can change the chunk size then. Let's make the chunk size like 16 by 8. And that will actually set like a longer level, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Index out of bounds. The length is 128, but the index is 128. So interesting. So we can't actually change any of this because it's locked into the size of our tile map. So maybe the tile map is actually supposed to be pre-made level and not what I thought it was supposed to be. Add layer, layer entity, tile bundle default. So let's go look at set layer. Let's set layer ID, set layer, get layer. Wait, why is there no set layer? Set all. Because I looked for the wrong thing. That's why. Set all is not in layer settings, so set all will be in layer builder. That makes sense. Set all the tiles in the layer builder. Okay. Get tile entity, set tile. So we can set a bunch of these tiles to different things. Command settings, layer settings, map ID, layer ID. New batch. Use bevy spawn batch to quickly create large amounts of tiles. Okay, that's cool. I can definitely see why you would want to use like a TLDK, like a level builder, because going through one by one and being like, this is going to be a thing, and this is going to be like the same thing, and this is going to be the next, like that will get tiring. It's what I'm going to do today because I don't know how to use TLDK yet, or LDTK. This is cool. Returns the list of the neighbors in the following order: north, south, west, east. So I'm not sure how we ended up not being able to create a longer map. Tile spacing, tile mesh type, col, define the tile map. Maybe this is just like the whole tile map, and then we have to use it to do something else. So if that's just loading in a tile map, then we have to set each of those to each of the tiles. I thought that was going to do it automatically for us. So maybe I misunderstood what the library wants us to do. Sparse tiles, how to generate a map while not all of the tiles exist for a given square in the tile map. So this is definitely okay. So I think what we've done is we've loaded in the tile map for all the tiles. And what we actually need to do is now take that and apply it to the actual level. Well, the first thing we need to do is map all the tiles to individual things, but tiled, an example of loading and rendering a tiled map, editor map, which requires a tiled map feature. Visibility, sparse tiles, random map, a bench of editing all of the tiles every 100 milliseconds. We have one layer. That's good enough for me for now. Tile per entity. Behind the scenes, the tiles are split into chunks, such each of their own mesh, which is sent to the GPU in an optimal way. Why are we unable to extend the map is one of my questions here. So the tile bundle default, I think, just sets all of the tiles to the first tile, which is fine. If we do something like 4 and 16, does that extend it without overflowing? The problem is that when I increase one of them, it tries to, it's got like a preset size that I'm not seeing anywhere. Like, why would it be 128? Map new. Let's go check map, maybe. Map. Tile map, map. Simple component used to keep track of layer entities. Okay, map entity ID. There is no, so layers are what we need to do. Add layers, remove layers. Get layer entity. Despawns a map. Interesting. Let's go check layer. So a layer is a set of layer settings. Get layer size and tiles. Get chunk. New. A new map component. Maybe we're supposed to chunk the layer across. So chunk size and map size. Tile size, texture size. Mesh type. Square. Isometric is either diamond or staggered. We don't need those. So square is fine. I think that's the default. Maybe we're just supposed to like make another one. That feels weird, right? Like the fact that we would need to make. I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? So you do like chunks of your map instead of doing. So if that's the case, and we've got a layer builder here, layer builder set all, map query build layer, commands layer builder material handle. Then we add the layer here, layer entity. There's no offset. There's an offset for this map, and we could like do it again, right? We could do it again at like 128, 128, XY. Let's do 128, right? If we did that, I'm probably going to get reference errors, but see if I can reference the first one. I probably just need to clone it. So if we just recreate the map again and put it next to this one, then I guess that works. Feels a little weird. I mean, we just moved the entire map over, right? Oh, right, because it's not, it's, okay. So it's the same entity as the problem. So we would need to do this whole thing. And then add it again. So if we do this, we would have to also add the layer again. And then we get a new entity, and that would give us our second like set of tiles. This seems really, it seems like I should just be able to extend it somehow, but I'm not seeing how to do that. Like this shouldn't be necessary. I feel like the layer, like this is setting the PNG stuff. Creates a new layer builder with a layer entity, right? Layer settings, um, chunk size, map size, right? Where's our layer settings? Map size, chunk size, tile size, texture size. So the texture size is, I presume, the size of the PNG, right? Size in pixels of the tile map texture. The size in pixels of each tile. So those are for picking out pieces of the tile map PNG. Size of the tile map in chunks. Size in tiles of each chunk. It feels like I was supposed to pre-create the level in some way, and that this is supposed to load the entire level instead of programmatically creating each piece of it. Call the chunks in the map when they are off screen. You know, like it feels like instead of having what we do have here, which is a bunch of different tiles just like in a thing, that we're supposed to have like a full 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But this isn't the right. So like even if that were true, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9 by 19 or something like that. So there's 171 pieces here. So these settings have to be like, if we just double these, right? Then the pixels of each of the tiles should stay the same. The pixels in the tile map should stay the same. And if we run this, it's gonna panic. But I don't know why, because I feel like it should just be making the map bigger. Because the size, oh no, there we go. Why didn't it work before? Hey, okay, I did something wrong. 4 and 4 and 16 and 16. I guess we need it to be a square. Like we're not allowed to not have it be a square. That seems odd, right? I have to say that seems odd. So we can't make it the whole thing. We just have to make it like whatever it is here, right? And then, yeah, we have that huge level now. I can bring the corgi back up. I don't really want to make like a infinitely tall level. Right, because I'm not imagining my level as a I'm not imagining the level as a square. I'm imagining it as a long, thin rectangle, like horizontally long rectangle. But this seems to require me to use a square. So I'm wondering if I should be doing a ton of layers, I guess, and just offsetting them, or like a ton of maps. Mesh algorithm, square, hexagon, isometric. What is isometric? Diamond or staggered? What is staggered? The hexagon is definitely not what we want, right? A type of tile to be remembered. Like they're all squares. Did I just get the numbers wrong before? Like, maybe that's it. Like I did 4 and 4. I think I did 8 before here. So what if I do 8 here and 2 here now? Does that give me a rectangle? If this is all just because I got my math wrong earlier, then you know, I guess I deserve that, but that's what I get for not being able to do simple math. Index out of bounds, the length is 128, but the index is 128. So it has to be a square. So if it has to be a square, why do I have to set a UVec 2? Right? Unless I'm getting the numbers wrong for some reason. The map size is a UVec 2, right? Which is XY. Two-dimensional vector. XY. And then chunk size is a UVec 2, the size in tiles of each chunk. So this is the number of tiles per chunk. And this is the size in chunks of the map. So the numbers need to be the same, I suppose, but they don't need to correlate. So like 32 by 32 and 4, 4 should work. It would kind of make sense if you loaded maps in and then dropped them instead of having one big one. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like I'm supposed to have, but that worked. Right? So now I have a really long one. But I think that the problem with this is that it's going to be extremely tall as well. Right? Like I don't need all of that height. I want it to be that long, but I don't need that height. Because if I make this one, if I make it a size of 1 high, and I run this, it will fail because it's trying to make a square. So I guess I'm stuck with having to create multiple of these. So if I move these back to 8, that will give me a reasonable screen. And then I just have to create another one for the tile next to it. I mean, that kind of doesn't feel good. I've got to be missing something. Builds this layer. Once this is called, you no longer edit the layer until you have hard sync. Add layer. But this is like, so if I want this, I have to do all of this again. Is that what's happening here? Like, there's all of that, and then I have to do all of this, and then I just have to like offset it down here. And the material handle, I guess, can be a reference, or do I have to clone it? I have to clone it. So that should give me like one and then the other to the right of it. I mean, it does. Like, it's not where I need it to be, but that is where it goes. So now I need to calculate how far offset this is supposed to be. 18 times 8. Is that the number here? But I do totally get why the LDTK thing exists if this is the way that you need to do it otherwise. So that's not quite where it needs to be. Those tiles are overlapped is the issue. So the tiles on the left-hand side overlap a little bit. Let me try to get it to be one of the other items, or one of the other tile IDs. Where's the tile bundle? Tile bundle, pub tile, position, parents. The standard tile bundle. The position in the tile map grid. I think that's what we need, right? Flip. Okay, so these are nice. And then we just do position as a UVEC2. So which one do we want it to be? We could go with, I'm assuming this is 0, 0 for some reason. That's why it's being used. I don't know. Let's do like 2, 2 or something, or like 5, 5 or whatever. I don't know. Let's figure something out. Let's see. Just get it to be something else. Tile bundle, struct update syntax, position, UVEC2, right? Capital V. Capital V VEC. New. Let's make it like 5, 5. And I messed up a little bit of the syntax. So that should give us a different tile for the second tile map, right? Or the second section of the level. That didn't work at all. Why didn't that work? Get tile for each tiles. Get tile neighbor, set all the tiles in the layer builder. Fill a section of the map with tiles. So this is set all, and it takes a tile T. The tile builder is how we get a tile T. The tile builder is supposed to give us a position. Is that just giving us like one position in the map? The position in the tile map grid. Is the position in the tile map grid the position in the PNG or the position in the tile map that we're rendering? I really think these names need to be changed. Everything can't be called tile bundle, tile map, tile thing, tile whatever, tile like I I feel like they're referring to different things when they call it like map over here and map over here. Like they need to call it like the PNG or something like that so that I understand which thing they're talking about. The returned neighbors are tuples that have a tile map coordinate and an option. Let's go back to tile bundle. Tile bundle has a tile here, texture index. There we go. That's what we need, the texture index. I don't think we need this. I think we need tile default, tile, and then texture index 5. I don't know what 5 is. We'll find out. This is struct update. I want to make these default because that is significantly easier to keep retyping. Probably doesn't implement default, right? That's going to be my next problem. Doesn't matter. We can just, yeah, there's default. So I must have messed up my syntax. Tile bundle. Where tile is a tile, and this needs a comma. I've still done something wrong because Rust Analyzer is yelling at me. Why is Rust Analyzer yelling at me? Why doesn't Rust Analyzer? Oh, because I left in a comma. Oh, rough. All the tiles are tiled. It would kind of make sense if you loaded maps in and then dropped them instead of having one big one. Yes. There we go. Okay, so that's how we get different tiles. And that's how we get extensions to our map. So now we need to go through and create a bit of a level. This is going to be awkward, I think. Let's do something like this. Let's take like this square down here, right? And let's do one platform and then another platform. So the top half, the entire top half of this is going to be empty for the moment. The entire bottom half is going to be one of these 9 tiles. And then I can split it up in different ways. So when I said 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it must have been this one. Oh, man. I wish these were numbered. Now comes the manual effort part of the show. Maybe I will make it easier on myself and do these little red things because they have little stems. So I need to figure out where the index points are here. I don't want set all anymore. I'm going to need to use like field. Let's see, set all. Where's set all? Set all. For each tiles, get tile mute, set tile. So set tile is probably what we're going to need. And then fill is probably going to be something else that we want. So let's start setting some tiles one by one. Oh no. I can probably write a little function to help here, right? So let's do function chunk. And this is going to, is there like a matrix I can use here? Uvec2s, vec3s, quats, matrix. Don't want projection matrices. Just want two vecs stacked on top of each other. Let's see, vec2. I still don't know what a swizzle is, which is one of the funniest words in this whole thing to me. I don't need really any of these. You know what? Let's not even try to do that. Let's do just a vec. We're just going to set up a vec. And for the vec, this is going to be what? We said it's a 16 by 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15? That doesn't seem right. Is that my problem right now? Is that I have this not far enough over? This is going to be 19 times 8. Right, because I already started writing my other set tile thing. Let's get rid of chunk for a moment. Basically, all I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a vec. I'm going to format it in the editor to have spaces and whatever, and I'm going to pick indexes and then iterate over them. Okay, so I got the math wrong for where the second one needs to be. 19 times 8. So there are 2 chunks. There are 8 tiles per chunk. So 2 times 8 times 18. Is that what's going to happen here? That seems large. And then minus 128 because that's what we set the other one at. So it's going to be offset like that. And then this whole thing minus 128.0 because the other one is also offset by 128. And I think those are correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so 16 by 16 here, which is a lot of numbers. And we're just going to make them... How do I set it to like no tile? Can I set it to no tile? There was something about sparse maps or something like that, right? What else is in the mesh type? Square. Tile map plugin, chunk. Layer, map. Map entity. Map new. Add layer. Layer settings, was that it? Cull, tile spacing, map ID, layer ID, texture size, type. I feel like there was a sparse something or other somewhere. I guess not. How do I not place tiles? Tiles.png. Set all, build layer, set layer ID, tile texture index. This is just randomly setting tiles, which we could also totally do just for kicks. Like if we took this whole thing, right? We replaced it with this. And random is like thread random from RNG probably. Which we don't have currently installed, so I will have to install, but that's totally cool. Let's close this out for a second. Cargo, add RNG, or Rand. Is it Rand? I think it's Rand. It is Rand. And instead of doing the use, I'm just going to do Rand thread RNG. Layer builder is going to be something that comes in. Layer builder probably is a mutable reference. I'm just guessing at that. And mute layer. Yeah, a mute layer builder is what, a layer builder probably is what it's called. I have no idea. I didn't see that type when we looked before. Layer builder? Is that a thing? A thing. Is that the thing we want? I mean, it looks like it, right? No code actions available. Oh, cargo run. Not found in scope. Expected one type argument. Layer builder what? Layer builder settings? T? What is T? T is a tile bundle trait. What is T supposed to be here? Our layer builder is right here. So if I turn on, I just reloaded Rust Analyzer, unfortunately. So maybe I do this so that we just don't have to deal with that for the moment. I'm gonna pull that into, where's the first one? Add layer, layer entity, layer builder. Oh, it's just a tile bundle. Okay, no, we can stick this back up here. Tile bundle. Z+1. Gen range. How's, oh yeah, import rand RNG. I'm just kind of assuming that we need a mutable layer builder there. Maybe we don't. What's it yelling at me for? Expected layer builder found mute. Mutable reference. I mean, I want a mutable reference probably, right? Because we're setting tiles on this thing. Maybe I don't need a mutable. I guess not. Thought so. You would think set tile is a mutable thing, right? I guess not. Where's the layer builder? There's the layer builder. We're going to not set all. We are going to chunk that layer builder. And mute, because that's what we're passing in. Run that. It should just give me a random assortment smattering of tiles. And we can kind of work our way up from there, right? There we go. Random assortment of tiles. That is a completely unusable level, but it is a level. That's getting empty slots somehow. How is that getting empty slots? That's the thing I need to figure out. 0 to 16, position here. Texture index. I guess technically we don't need to fill all of them. They're just empty by default. Fine by me. Let's do something else then. Let's do, grab this. We'll get rid of the randoms. Layer builder, set tile. Position was a tuple, right? It was like, go check what 0, 0 is. Yeah, that works. Texture index. The texture index for this is going to be, what did we determine the other thing was? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think 13 is the one that we're going to, or let's do 14, right? 14 isn't the end cap, is it? No. Let's do 14. And we'll put those in a bunch of places. Expected UVec 2. Yeah, fine. Whatever. UVec 2, new, XY. Now it's a UVec 2. Congrats. Result that must be used. I don't care at the moment. Okay, so we have this at 0, 0. So let's put that up at 0, I don't know, 6? What was it? I think 8 was the, let's do 7. Why not? We're just going to expect to work here. If it doesn't work, then we're screwed anyway. So we've got to run this a bunch of times. Yep. Not going to be my favorite part of this, if I'm being honest. Also, it's 0 indexed. So we need to do that. And then this will be before it just for kicks. Why not? We'll make that 0. We'll make this 1. We'll make this a 12. Both of them are going to be on 7. Right below that, we will do a, what was it? 13? Is a 13 the thing? No, 13 is not the thing. 13 is going to be our good friend right here. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's like 22. So this is going to be a 22. And then that should give us a left red thing, a stem red thing, and then a stem below the red thing. Wait, did I set the, I didn't set the Y correctly here. Cargo run. And then on top of this, we have to set the actual collision on the actual things. So like, this is a whole thing. That's the wrong thing. Texture index 22 should not be green, should it? I thought 22 was going to be this one. But it looks like it is that one. Oh, yeah. Oops. 32. I'm going to need somebody to count for me. The goal here today is to get a couple of platforms working and looking like it's an actual level. That's literally all I want to get done today. There we go. That's that thing. And now I just need to do that 5 bajillion more times. So how's everybody else doing today? What are y'all working on? Let's put this down lower. We'll make this like 4 and this one 5. And is there a bottom to these? Kind of. They aren't really on anything. Can make them the ground maybe. Do these look like ground enough? Let's do, I don't know, this thing right here. And this will be, oh man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 61? No. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 102? And that will be a 0, 3. And this is the part where I feel like the Mun scripting language would come in handy because it's hot reloadable. So like if I was going to do this in code, I feel like Mun would be a really good option for like defining all of the platformy stuff. Does that look like the right one? That looks like a middle piece, right? I need the left piece there. But that's good because we'll then get the 102 here. This is going to be the worst code ever. And then we'll just put a cap on the other one, right? Like we'll just We'll make that a very small platform on which this other thing grows. And then we will copy these three. And make this isn't going to be 101, 111, 121 probably, right? And these will have to be at 2. And this will be like 122. With any luck, I will have guessed these numbers correctly. On the bright side, this will look great. Like the art assets are wonderful. Oh, what did I mess up? Put them in the wrong X, didn't I? Yeah. So this is 0, 1, 2, and this up here is 2, and this is 1, and that's 0. Because I mean, the art assets look great. At some point, I'm going to try to do some pixel art, but it's not going to be for the game jam this week because that'll take me forever. We've got some like platformy things starting to take shape. We do need to make the... Oh, it's going to be so hard to figure out which one of these is which. 1, 7. 1, 7 sounds like the right one. Let's do 13 here, 14 for the end cap. Is that what we need? Because this will need to be 2, 7, right? And then we really want that to be 13. We want to copy that again and make that 3, 7. And then maybe copy that again and make it 4, 7. And then put an end cap on it, which will be 5, 7. And will be 14 or 15. Did we use 14 already? We did use 14. It's got to be 15. I should have went with the VEC. I should have went with the VEC. Then at least I could just change the numbers. So there's a platform and there's a thing below it. And I should at least be able to create another platform, right? So if I copy all of this and I bump all the numbers up and I reverse it and make it a little higher, at least that will give me something to work with, right? So let's take all of this. Let's do something like this so I know where I copied it. Paste it. And then these all need to be bumped by like 5 or something, right? Let's bump it by 8. Ten, 11, 12, 13, 9, 9, 9. This is me just saying no over and over in German or something. 9, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, save. Okay, so we've got a direct copy of it. Now, Now I want to switch this with that and move it higher so that we get a little bit of a 2-level split effect. So which one is that one? That one's the 13, something like that. No, it's the 12. This is the 12. So the 12 is going to be, the 12 is at 7. Oh, the 12 is at 9. We're going to make the 12 into a 13, I think. Yeah, we're going to make the 12 into a 13. Make this 13 into a 12. And then we have to take all of the ones that are at 9 and move them to 12. And then actually, I think that this one down here doesn't need, it might need to move, actually, now that I think about it. Because I want to move those so that they are, I really just need to shift that whole thing over, which would probably be easier than flipping it. So I'm probably going to take back the 12 that I just made, because this whole chunk is going to be over here now. So maybe 9 to 12, 8 to 11, and 10 to 13. Is that what that means? Thirteen, 11, 13, 12, 11, 12, 12. Okay, I think that's good. And then I'll just extend that branch up maybe. So like you could jump onto the top one, jump onto the bottom one. Okay, cool. That looks good. Because I'm gonna have to do the collision on these two, and the collision is gonna take me a second. So I'm going to pick the one that is 13, right? So this is at 11.7. So the one that's at 11.6, 6, 5, 4, 12. So we need the one at 12. And we need to bump this up so that it goes to the 7, to the 8, to the 9, and then maybe that's high enough, and this goes to 10. You understand? You see how easy this would be if I was just like painting with a brush or something, right? It would also be easier if I like literally wrote a matrix into the code and then looped over it, which is what I was going to originally do, but I wasn't sure this was going to work in the first place. So yay. So yeah, so we've got a two level thing. The corgi is not, the corgi is not correct. We need to move the floor up and adjust it to be this size. And then we need to put it down here as well, I think. We probably want a vertical bar on these things as well. I don't have any idea how I'm going to do that. Well, I know how I'm going to do that. It's going to be a vertical bar instead of a horizontal bar, but this is going to be the level, as it were, for the moment. And then, I don't know, I'll figure out an easier way to come up with the level. At least we'll be able to jump from one thing to another. That will be fun. So I do need to bump the collider. So the colliders are the next things that we're going to have to work with. The cuboid that is 10 and 0.1. I think that I will, so we're multiplying this by, I want to say 25. So I think this is going to be 0.2. I don't remember exactly. So the collider here for the ground, this is the first ground, the one that we land on. Let's move the corgi actually. So corgi sprite, the collider for the corgi sprite is this 2x2 cuboid, right? So I think we need it to make it like something more like 1. I would love to have visuals on the colliders, but I couldn't figure out how to get that done. Looks slick? Yeah. Well, the art assets aren't mine, so hopefully I can get like a level done for Friday. Oh God, that's so fast. The impulse on the corgi is now like throwing it 50 million feet in the air. Let's go for force. And let's make this down to like -1, force 1. Why do I have a vertical force on these? I don't want a vertical force on these at all. And then this impulse, the impulse is going to be, I don't know, 5, right? 5, and then the jump impulse needs to be something more like 10. These little springs are cool. I wonder if we can integrate springs at some point. Because we should be able to with the thing that we are using currently. Okay, the jump does need to be higher. But the left and the right need to be a little bit slower, I think. The jump, we'll make the jump like 50. We'll make the left and the right force like 0.5 or something. The force still goes infinitely. Like we still haven't fixed that bug. So there's that. We do need to be able to jump onto that platform though. And the Corgi collider is not actually in the right spot because it's colliding with the white bar, not with the thing up here. Although it looks like it's almost colliding with the thing up there. So we do need to make the collider even smaller for the Corgi. Cuboid. Let's make this even like smaller. Let's do like 0.5. The multiplier on the scale is 2, but I forget. I haven't done the math. Can't unthink that you were referring to the lack of friction. Oh, for the looks slick? Yes. There is kind of a lack of friction going on, isn't it? Or I guess it's the... oh God, that's really fast. Oh God, the Corgi's gone. Never coming back. The smaller I make the cuboid, the more impact the force has. So every time I make it a little bit smaller, I need to go adjust the cuboid again, or not the cuboid, but the impulses again, which I don't love. I feel like I should be able to come up with some kind of math that will make that not happen like that, but 0.1. And then the impulse is going to be 1. Let's see. Corgi back in action. Okay. Corgi is on the ground and jumps 50 bajillion feet in the air. We need to make that a little bit smaller. Jump impulse is going to be 5. We were just at 10, right? Yeah. 5. We'll have that. Let's see if that works. I would love to find a way to automatically associate the colliders with specific elements of the game. I think that LDTK can do that kind of thing. Okay, so that will let us jump onto that platform when we make it collide. So we just need to make this the right size over here, and then we'll create another one and we'll put it there. We already have 2, so it doesn't really matter. Spawn players, rigid body position, collider position, cuboid. That's the corgi. This is the respawn floor. This is ground number 2. This is ground number 1. So a cuboid for the collider is, I think it turns out to be 50 times greater than the number that we put here. So we'll have to divide whatever number that we have here by 50 to get the right size collider. I think that's because the numbers are getting super small that we're getting to the point of like each number has a very large impact. Can't even stay on that platform. Okay, so that's that, and that needs to go to what, negative 128? How did we move the collider earlier? Collider position. And this is on the collider here. And it needs to be negative 128, right? Hopefully this is not multiplied. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it is actually multiplied. So it's multiplied by, if it's multiplied by 50, right? Then we're really just looking for negative 2.56. Okay, let's roll with that and see where it puts it. And the corgi is just infinitely dropping. There it is. So the collider is nowhere to be found. Oh, you know what? I think it's up here. I think I just hit it. Yeah, it's right there. Oh, the corgi moves too fast. There it is. It is kind of in the right spot. It is way too like high. So I'm thinking like 0.1 or something like that. And that just gives us the position. Let's get out of this. So 1 and 50, that's not actually long enough. And negative 2.56 and the sprite actually don't line up anymore. right? What did I end up having to do for... Am I not syncing this with the other one? I'm not syncing it. So I'm only syncing it on the commands insert. So I need to sync these two things. That'll actually show us where the collider is, which will be really nice. So there's the collider. I think the corgi might not land on it. Corgi is just like flailing. So that is the collider right there. The corgi moves back and forth way too fast. We need to adjust the force again. Let's adjust the impulse. Where's the impulse? The impulse is here. Let's make the impulse like 0.1 as well. And then we need to make the collider a little bigger for the ground to match the size of the other thing. So we have what, 18 pixels, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 18 times 6 as we watch the corgi fall to its death 50 bajillion times. Over 50 is 2.16. That doesn't sound right because that's already 2.56. So 4.32 sounds like the right size here. Then hopefully that will be the top of the little mushroom thingy. Well, that doesn't look right. Because it's a corgi and it jumps. Actually, the left and the right force is so high now that it can't move if it's on the ground. Okay, so that didn't make the width of this any better. Where isometry new vector 0.1 cuboid 1.1. Oh, you know what? This is where I was supposed to put that. This is not where I was supposed to put that. Oh well. Now we're just guessing, which is fine. I'll have to go back through here and actually calculate the math for where to put things. There is actually math for where to put things. All right, let's increase the force on this corgi a little bit because we need something that actually moves it. And then we still need that to be a little bit further. What are we at? 4.22 or something right now? I'm also getting quite hungry. 4.22, let's make that 4.12. I wonder if I can z-index that just a little over the mushroom for now. Make this like a... It doesn't look right. Let's wait until we get a corgi falling across the screen, I guess. It's so slow when it's on the ground. It's so close to being on that though. Okay. And this is going to be a Z index, hopefully. Isometry 2, vector 2, new. Hopefully that's a Z index. If it's not a Z index, then we're in a little bit of trouble there. There's a transform on this sprite bundle. I could make that the Z index too. Oh, that's the angle. This has to be 0. Transform from XYZ, I think, is the thing. So 0, 0, and we'll make this 2. And hopefully that will get overridden by the collider when we actually do the thing. Expected F32 because everything is supposed to be an F32. I still think 0 should just count as an F32. It should like infer to an F32 if it needs to. I don't know. I don't really even agree with that because then you could accidentally get an F32 somehow. That would not be great. Okay, still can't see. There's the Corgi. Corgi is going to land on this. This is just about, it's not accurate, not fully accurate. Oh, and it's way over here too. That's one of the reasons. Okay, well, I can live with that for now. I'll have to modify the whatever's the left and the right speed, because look at that. And then I can just jump to the other one. Okay, so now the goal is to set the second collider on this one. And then I will shore up these collider positions later. Can I set the tiles back a little bit? Okay, let's see. This. Let's say it's the same shape, right? So let's put that here. And the collider position is going to be totally different. It's going to be something more like this. Except it's going to be like at 0-ish. It's going to be like 1.12 and 1 or something like that. And then let's just see where that puts us. And we're going to have to raise it vertically too. So it's going to have to be like higher. But I just want to see where that puts the ground so that we can get a little bit of an estimate as to how much we actually need to change. The size of this is still gigantic. So let's do this times 50, right? So this is 126. And that would make sense as to why our other one isn't matching, because this needs to be 126 as well. So let's kill that, rerun, and then we'll see both of our colliders. One of them will be sticking out the left side of our first mushroom. One of them will be like hanging in the air somewhere below-ish the second mushroom. And then we'll just kind of move them around a little bit. I think they're both of the same. This needs to be like 1 point something, right? So that's at 0.1. No. The height of the sprite. This is the shape of the collider. Let's do 0.3 and see if that gives us a little bit of a difference here. Because it won't have to be that tall, because I think it multiplies either by 25 or 50. Sometimes it feels like it multiplies by 50. So I think there's an extra 2 in there somewhere. There's definitely collider happening there. And it's definitely a different collider. Did I modify where the first collider went? Because I thought it was on the actual mushroom earlier. I think I messed up again. This is that. This is this. This needs to be like 0.5. This one needs to be like 3. Of course, because I keep forgetting that these need to be float 32s. So they all need decimal places. Put a couple clouds in the sky too. That would be fun. Okay, so the collider is not syncing for some reason with the sprite. That's weird, right? Oh no, did I just do that? I did just do that. I don't need the size of this to be different. I need the position of this to be different. Whoops. So let's put this at 3. That's why. That's why, because the sprite sizing didn't change. It's still sitting at the same base level. I was just changing the height. Okay. So we've got a thing up here and a thing down here. Hopefully I fall off of this one a little bit in a second here. It's a little big. What is 18 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Is 108. 108 over 50 is 216 for the width. Not for the position, for the width. For the width here. And then that still needs to be over a little bit more. So this will be like 2.12. I don't know. It's not going to be exact. I do want it to be closer, so I'm going to adjust this a couple more times. But I'm probably going to do most of my adjustment off stream because we've already figured out how to do it. Okay, so that's good for the left-hand side in terms of height, maybe a little bit higher. It is not like right there though. So like, look at this collider. Look at this collider just blocking that corgi. It is interesting that there's friction on the ground. I don't know if I love that. I think I might need to look into adjusting that. 4, 5, 6. This does need to be a little smaller, even smaller than it is currently. So this is positioning. It does need to be further to the right, so we'll make that this. And we will actually drop it down just a little bit. So like a 2.5 maybe we'll start with. How much did I raise that? I raised that 0.5 and it went from bottom to top. So I think this is actually going to be more like a 2.8. The size of these needs to come down, make them 2.0. I think they need to be a little bit smaller than that even actually, but we're just going to check that out for a second. So it does need to be a little smaller. You can see that there. The size or the positioning on the left-hand side is a little bit off. So yeah, I'm super happy with this. I'm gonna keep working on the level, but the level work is gonna be super mundane and me just doing more fiddling. So I'm going to call it on the stream, and I will be back probably tomorrow to do more streaming. Thanks for hanging out.